Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I've got another video today that I know you're going to love. We're going to build an application that can run and manage content across your entire business. The app is designed to run content at scale. It will produce social media content, blogs, and also be able to transform one type of content to another type of content. This is part of an ongoing series where I'll teach you how to build this application step by step. So please don't forget to subscribe, give the video a like if it's something that you're interested in. You don't want to miss out on this one. So let me give you a quick tour of the finished product and what we're going to build together. And then we're going to start building one section of this. Today, we're going to focus on how to build a custom form input to auto-generate content into the machine. This is the custom form that we're going to build today. You can fill it out and it will take the content from here and auto produce a blog of your choosing. The blogs will also be displayed in different ways, like a gallery format, as well as various formats such as Kanban and timeline formats. So if we wanted to, we can drag and we can drop the content. We can even change it and edit it in here, as well as social media functionality, where we basically have the same kind of output that we can sort by channels such as Instagram, as well as have an overview of the content and see that content in a calendar that we can also drag and drop around. So today we're going to focus on building the blogs, and we're also going to focus on building this form where you can custom input ideas into the machine to make it produce content for blogs and social media. As this is a big project, we're going to take it step by step today. Ultimately, this is going to be the flow sequence that we will have produced by the end of this video, which will take information from a custom form and be able to produce a blog as well as several social media posts. Today, we're also going to be doing a live build for a client of mine with various different products, such as this mobile cryptocurrency trading application. So the first place we're going to need to start to build this product is the Airtable. So I'm going to show you quickly how we're going to develop the Airtable from the ground up into a fully fledged application. So I'm going to create a base and I will start this from scratch. Now, as we're starting at the beginning, we need to outline what our application is going to look like. So firstly, the first table we're going to want is a content database. So we want to produce a content database to ensure that we can track every piece of content that is fed into the machine. Right now, we're going to focus on blogs, but in the future, we're also going to have social media contents. We're going to have contents that's uploaded by the client. Every single piece of content that comes into the system needs to be cataloged and databased. The next table we're going to produce is the blog outputs table. So this is where the information that will go on the blog is going to be stored. So even though we're going to have the same content in the content database is going to act as a hub to send blogs and information to the blog outputs. The reason for that is just for simple organization and to make sure that we can track where everything in our table has come from. The other table that's super important for us to focus on today is company information. Because we're building this for a brand, we want to make sure that we can catalog the company information to make sure that every piece of content that is produced is relevant to the business that we're producing it for. So the first table that we can adjust, let's start with the blogging outputs and what's necessary for a blogging output. So I'm just going to remove some of these here. The status one I will probably need, as I will make this a bit different but the same, and I'll have draft, I'll have published as well. We don't need to add more than that. We can keep it super simple. Okay, let's change the name of this column to title. A blog also needs some content, so we can add a long column here, call it content. Blogs also have an author, so we want to have author of the blog. We want to have a date of publish, so what day are we going to publish this on? Maybe I'll also add one more just in case, archived in case we don't want to use it, but we don't want to delete it either. Cover image. Okay, we just use attachment. In here, include a content link. So I'm going to add a link. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is for readability purposes, our clients can just click and be able to view the content in a format that's easier for them to read. I'll also put this on a Google Drive just to make it super easy and super simple for our client. Now, the last column that we're going to add, you can add as a single line of text or a link, is a webhook. And this is one of the last things that we'll add. It will enable us to be able to send information to make.com to have that published through the API of either the social media platform or, in this case for blogging, a blogging platform. I'm just going to name this quickly Bitaza Content System. And I'll also give it a shade of green that matches the Open.AI brand color, just to keep everything nice and on brand. Okay, so let's edit the content database, the company information, and then we'll move on to how to develop a form that will work in the context of this business. Next on the list, we have company information. So we might want the company name, company about page. I like to catalog with a URL, but this time I'll put it as a piece of short text. I will also just remove this section here and replace it with an attachment and get their company logo. Next, we'll add company mission. I'll put this as a long text, so company mission. I shall add the industry. After that, I shall add some target audiences. I'm going to add some primary keywords, some keywords that we can use to generate content. After that, we might want some more URLs again. I like to be able to catalog their hero items so that we can draw information from this page and use that information later on. They might have more than one item, so I'm just going to duplicate this and then we can use it in various formats. You'll see why that's useful later on, but let's just add a couple more here. And as well, just going to add some extra information, such as maybe their email and the address. We might want to have bots later on that are able to message people and give them the information for customer support. So we might want a customer support email in there, as well as an address for sending packages to. Okay, so we have the company information filled out. I've just noticed I've done it in the wrong one, getting a little bit carried away. And then change this one to the content database. Not a problem. Next, I'm going to build out the content database. And then finally, after that, I have one more table to add, which will be the topics and ideas table. So let me just quickly fill in the content database as we go. The first thing that I want to change in this content database is this. It's an auto number. And the reason why is we want to assign a unique tracking number, which we'll call ID, to every piece of content that lands in our database. And firstly, I'm going to add the title of the content. Now, in this case, the title of the content is important. The reason why it's important is because I'm about to use this as a reference to the content idea generation. So, for example, a piece of content that is produced in a blog might have a title, but on social media, if we're using it for captions, we're not going to need a title. However, if we have the same title for the blog and the social media, we'll be able to know which automation produced that piece of content. The next column that I'm going to have is going to be copy, could be caption. You can just follow along, but that's because every piece of content, generally speaking, is going to have copy, such as a blog, it has copywriting, and so does an Instagram post. I'm just going to hide this one for now. And the next column we're going to add is a date. We want to know when every piece of content that we produce was created. So we're going to have a content creation date. We're also going to want to record the original publication date. So again, this date might actually change, but we're going to want to know when it was originally assigned a date. Now, this is just for tracking in case a client moves content, you have it databased of when it was originally meant to be published so that you can keep track through your data. After this, we might want to have some more attachments. We can have image files. We can then add other attachments. We might have videos as well. Links such as the content link. So we can see the files that we're making backups of. Then we're going to have a single select. And this one we're going to call source. We want to know where our content is being produced. So we might have the always on automation. We will definitely need uploaded content. In case a client uploads content, we're going to have content that's produced in the creation that we're making today, which is going to come from the topics and ideas uploads. Okay, so again, where it was produced, so we can keep a track of the source of the content. We're also going to need a content type. I will also make this a select, so we might have blog, Facebook, Instagram, X/Twitter, LinkedIn. So quickly moving on to the final table that we're going to need today to produce the form. So we're going to want to change this name to topic idea. Here we can have the description of the idea. We'll just delete or hide these fields right now. And then we can add target audiences in case we want different target audiences for the custom input as opposed to the always on automation. After that, we also might want to include a link to a hero item. So we can have link to hero product here, just in case as a brand you want to be able to talk about something in a particular context. We want to feed into the machine what that might be, such as an e-commerce product, or in this case, it might be the application for trading cryptocurrency. Then we're going to want an asset. We might want an image asset to be uploaded. Then we might want to know the person who's uploading it, so we can just add the client name just to ensure that we know who's uploading this piece of content if there's multiple people inside the brand using the application. Date, so the date that was submitted. And so we're going to call this one submission date. So we're just going to default that to current date. And then finally, because we want to be able to link this to the company information, which will become more clear, we're just going to add here company information. And we're going to just tick all the boxes in case we need them to produce content. What we're going to do now is create the interface. Now we're going to want to start to build the interface. So let's just start with building an interface. We want to call this Bataza Content System, or whatever you fancy calling it. And we'll start with a simple list. And the first list that we're going to start with is the blog outputs, because we're going to start building the application around the blog. I also want to add a new interface, which will be part of the same application for the topics and ideas. Okay, so that we can see where every topic and idea is submitted, we can see that inside the interface. So you can see here that we have two different sections. Now, I personally like to build the form outside of the application. And the reason for that is because if you have a partner that you need to generate content very quickly for, and they know about the content better than you can just send them a form for them to submit the brief, and then they can fill it in without accessing the content system. And what we can do inside the app is then we can create a button for people to be able to click, so that when they click here, we can show them a button for them to be able to then go and fill out the form. So just click go to website, you can see here, and then we can have go to external URL or go to another interface page. In this case, we're actually going to go to open a new form. So we've got to build the form. So this new form that we're going to build, it could be submit your topics and ideas. We want to just check that looks good. We can hide this one because we've actually got this as a default date. So if we can actually just remove it from the form here, and it still exists over in the data, I do believe. So let's just check. Yeah, it's there. And when someone fills that out, it's a default date. So back to the form, submitting the topics and ideas. You might want to throw in your logo. And we can also add a background image. As I'm building this for a client, it's very important for me to show the brand of Stop.AI and the Stop.AI content management system that we are creating for these people. So everything looks good. We could probably do with making these required. And the reason for that is that they will be inputs. I just want to drag the client name here to the top. It's just logical. And then also what we do want to add here is the date for publishing. So let's just see, did we not add that in here? Okay, we didn't add it. Okay, let's add a publishing date. So we just type in date, publishing or publishing date in here. So this is when we want people to publish it, and we can just drag that over into our form. Okay, so we can go back to the form, and then we can see here, and then people get to select what date they want it published on. And then there's one final field, which is company information. Now, right now, as you can see, we can just select Bitasa. The reason why we also need this to be required. Now, what this also enables us to do to build it in this way is if we have one client with multiple brands, they can manage those multiple brands inside one application. So if we just jump back into our data tables, we have the company information, we've got the content database here, and you can see that every time we want a topic and idea to be added, we can just click here and it will auto-populate the company information into this field. So when we build the automation, we can actually extract information only from the topic and idea, but also from the company information to make sure that the ideas and topics submitted are relevant to the business and to the client. Okay, so our form is looking good. We can publish that. Now we've published it, there is a little bit of housekeeping that we need to do. So if we just jump back into our system here, we want to create some quick automations. So one of these automations that I want to create is an email. So we want to fire off an email to whoever submits this. Since we don't have an email record, we need to just jump back into the form and add an email record here. So we've got the name. I think an email record would look quite good here. and we can just search and find it. We don't have one, so we need to jump back into the topics and ideas, and we can find an email, which is perfect. We just create an email, go back to our form, click on the drop down, and there we go. We've got the emails. And when somebody enters their email, then we can ensure that with this automation that we're going to build, we can then fire off the email is when the record matches. So let's just select a table with a condition that is when the topic idea, and we'll say is not empty, which means someone submits it, we can then fire the email to the people. So now we'll have a record here. We just put their email address in, and then we can fill out what the subject is, and we can just put new topic submitted into here, and then add whatever text that we want to add. And now that's complete. We can run it or generate a preview and then switch that email automation on. Now that's done, there's a couple of things that I want to do, which are testing the form. But before I do that, just so I don't forget, I want to add the social media outputs here, which is a topic we'll cover in another video. And also I am going to add transformational actions, which is again a topic I will cover in another video. So if you want to understand how to do social media and also transform content, meaning taking it from one variant of content, it could be a video, and transforming that into another variant such as a blog or a social media post, then do subscribe to this channel. I'll have that in a video coming very shortly. So let's just quickly test this form that we've built. So we'll publish it and we'll just start to test it with some content. So we can enter the name, we can have our email addresses, the topic ideas that we want to cover. And in this case, based on the target audience, we can have cryptocurrency related stuff. To do with Gen Z. I'll just put that in here, and again, target Gen Z. Now, one thing I want to note is we want to build out a flow that has content to do with hero items. Okay, we might touch this up later. I've noticed something that I wanted to change, but we want to be able to take our product URL and run it. Okay, run this as a flow. But you see how we haven't set it as required. What that means is that based upon whether somebody inserts a link or an image or does not insert an image, we want this to be able to output content in different ways. So if they don't insert an image, as an example, we want to generate the image. If they don't insert the link, we might want it to not be about the product, but be more broad about the industry that that company might be in. So we're going to set up different sequences and flows based upon the variations and the variety of content that is inputted into this form. We can just select Bitaza, as we know that that's going to link, and then we can also select a publishing date and we'll press submit, and then we can go back to our form and just double check that it has pulled through in that content, that topic and idea. Okay, that's great. The test is working, and now we need to know how to build that make.com sequence to create this content from the form. So the first thing that I want to do is just jump into make.com and start with Airtable. Now I'm going to watch the record, and the reason I'm going to watch the record is I want to make sure that when we've got a new topic that is submitted into the topics and ideas, we can trigger this as a response. Now, as I'm running this for a client, I want to set a limitation because we don't want clients to be able to do 100 a day. Maybe we just want them to do 1 a day. So for today, I'll just pick 1 a day. So when the topic and ideas are created, topic title is created, it will fire. Okay, so we'll fire this off. And then view, I don't think it really matters, but we'll just click grid just in case. Okay. From now on, yep, that's fine. The next thing we want to do is search for a record, okay? So we want to search for the record to ensure that we can get the information from our topics and idea table into the content machine that's going to generate all this content at scale. So we just click here and we want the topics and ideas. And to keep things simple, we'll just click all of them. The view is grid view. Yep, that makes sense. Fantastic. Now, there are two ways. Let's say that I wanted to get the company information. I hadn't set up that automation to make sure that it fired. You could actually grab the company information from a search record as well. But the reason that I've chosen not to do that is because the solution that I've showed you is far more scalable. It means that every time we've got a new brand, we don't necessarily need to develop a new model. We just need to update which brand within the client we're working with. So for that reason, I'm actually still going to use an aggregator just in case in the future I want to add that company information in, I can still get it. But in this case, we'll just continue with the aggregator. So I just want to select the module, search records, we press OK, and then we're on to the next one. Now here I'm going to put a router. And the reason why I'm going to put a router is because imagine that they have no hero item in their form. So you can see here, we've got link to hero item. What if they don't have a hero item? What if they just want to create a topic about something, like it could be Christmas, for their brand? Okay. What if that is the case? Okay. It means that then this won't be full. So if it's not full, then we need to run a different route. So one route that we could run is completely different from a route that if they had this. So we're just going to make a condition right here that says if the link exists, take this route. And if the link does not exist, so the link does not exist, take that route. Okay, so the link does exist. So the first thing that we're going to do is grab this HTTP module and request, make a request. Okay, so what is the request going to be? It's going to be for the information from the link to the product that needs to be inserted into the blog. Now, when we run requests, it's actually very data heavy. You know, these web pages have a lot of code, they have HTML, CSS in them. So we want to pass that into text, because if we pass it into text, it puts a lot less of a strain onto our ChatGPT module, which we're going to use to summarize the information on the page to be able to create a blog. Okay. So we just want to add that in here, and we want user, and then we're going to fill this user in. Just going to use my template here. So we want it to research about this topic and add a list of useful URLs. And I'm just going to add this from this page at the end. Now, the reason I've added that is because sometimes ChatGPT likes to be a little bit naughty and make up URLs that are fake. So we don't want that to happen. We want to make sure that all the URLs are from this page. Okay. After that, I'm going to use Perplexity. Now, Perplexity is a little bit different from ChatGPT, and the reason for that is it has capability to scrape the entire internet. So it will scrape the internet and it will curate information. So I'm going to also use my little template that I've prepared earlier to create a short list of keywords and backlinks. Okay. And we'll just put the role as user and we press go. And that's starting now to create the SEO ready blogs. Okay. So we're going to create those hot key search terms, and we're also going to create information about this product. Okay. So what is this product about? What are the users that use this product actively looking for? And then we're going to bam those keywords straight into our blog to make sure that we can drive traffic about people interested in these kind of products. The next one I'm going to use is completely optional. So again, you don't have to use all of these. This is just something that I like to do to ensure a little bit of robustness, but I actually do often edit this after I've run it a few times. Sometimes doing too much is not good, too much of everything, too much of something is not necessarily a good thing, okay? So we want to keep our model simplistic and streamlined so it could be light and agile, and we can just tweak it here and there to make different outputs. So we might change this later on after the video, after we've run it a few times, but for now, we'll just stick it in there so we get the topic title and the objective. I think the objective is the description in this model, okay? So we're just putting that there, max 0. And then the next module will be a ChatGPT module. So we're going to use this ChatGPT module now to create the blog. So we've done our research, we've scraped our web page, and now we want to create an SEO ready blog with heavy amounts of research and the product that we've chosen to be inserted into it. So first things first is we want to set the parameters of the system. So I'm just going to put the system in here and tell it that it is an expert in SEO writing and it wants to make it readable, okay? And the other thing that I'm going to do, just to make it very specific to the brand, and I want to add company information here because it's a big company. ChatGPT has definitely indexed this company. So if I just give it a bit of information about what the company name is that we've actually taken from the blog here, we can see, and their mission. So we can know what the mission of the company is just to tighten it up. Again, this might be a bit of an overkill and I will actually tighten it up later, but let's just see what the output is for now. So there's the company mission and we click OK. So we're going on. We need to create our user role so the system parameters know what the responsibility of this product is, or sorry, this SEO writer is. And now we need to create the message to create a cool, awesome SEO ready blog. So here, just using a template that I made earlier, we might again want to choose this, but keywords, and this also has hot URLs in it, and URLs, brackets, backlinks, so that we can tell the information in the machine what to do. Again, this probably won't be perfect the first time round, but we want to make sure that we've got both of these outputs in there to make sure that we're crafting a cool piece of writing. Okay, so the next one here, we want to put the message in there, and then the URLs will actually take from this ChatGPT module, which has created a list, and then the target audience, we want to grab that from the objective of the blog. So we've got the target audience there, and then the description is the blog objective, and then the topic title. So there is one thing that I'm going to add at the end here, which is do not include the topic title in the blog. Output. Only output the body of text. Okay, cool. Why? Because we're going to create a different module to create the title. And the reason for that is if you use WordPress or if you use Shopify, you generally have a different section to fill. So we'd have to parse this. And as we want this to be more robust, it would be difficult to parse it quite often. So I always like to create another module, and we're going to create the blog title from this module here. So we're just going to put this in, create catchy blog title based on the text below. So we just add that in there. Now we've got the blog title. Okay. Oh, let's just put 0 in for the time being. Probably could be a lot shorter than that. And then what do we want to do? So from there onwards, we want to create our document. So I want to create a document, or I want to create blogs for this brand. So one thing that I am actually going to need to do now is to create a Google Drive system for this content system that we are creating. So I'm just going to pause the video and create it because I've got to dive into my files, and then I'll show you the file structure that we'll use not only in this video, but the videos that will come and follow this. Remember, we're just building this out piece by piece and show you the layout and the structure because it is quite important. Not all of this we'll use today. You can see here that we've got autopilot blogs. We're not going to talk about that today. And we've got blogs from uploaded video content that relates to the transformational actions column. And then we've got the custom blogs over here, okay, which is going to be the one that we're actually interested in filling today. What I also have inside the Betaza is the images, which pretty much replicate the same flow. So you can see here, but this is for the custom form. So if we have images that are created from that custom form input, such as not on autopilot, we want the images to be generated here. Now, why is that important? It's important because we're going to store all of that information in the next part of our table. Within our Airtable, we have the content database. Now, I'm going to store every single piece of information, every single thing that we create into the content database. Is that if we create an image, it goes in the content database with a URL that's in our Google Drive. If we create a blog, it goes in the content database. If we create a video or we upload a video, it's in our content database. So now I've created the types. I want to create a file, okay? Or I want to create a document. On this one, I need to create a Google Drive doc that goes in the right file in this Betaza folder over here. Okay, so we want to create a document, and the document name we're going to grab from this ChatGPT, and the content we're going to grab from here. Okay. And the blog, the source of the blog is going to be from the form. So it's going to be a custom blog. Just to make sure I've got no other folders. No, fantastic. Okay, so now we've created the document, we've got our blog. We want to make sure that that is recorded in an Airtable. Betaza this one. Then the table that we're going to update here is actually going to be the content database. So I'll do the content database first, okay? Again, there's different ways to do it, and just to keep things simple here, we're going to add the content from the ChatGPT module, which will be this one here. And the content creation date, if we just click here and press now, then we'll know when that's decidedly going to be created. And then the publishing date was actually on our initial form. We just put it in there. We've got the publishing date. Fantastic. Okay, the content link, this one, is actually going to be the web link from here. So if people want to be able to view this on a Word doc, it's easier for our client maybe to modify the blog in a Word document than it is inside the Airtable. The source is going to be from this topics and ideas automation, and the type is going to be a blog, okay? The rest we can just leave and we can press OK. Now, this is where it gets interesting because we haven't got an image. So what happens if we want to create an image? Well, imagine if they've uploaded an image, okay? If they've uploaded an image, then what we can do is we can update the Airtable record with an image, okay? So we can press update a record here, and then the record ID, and then we just want to update the content database, and then the record ID is going to come from this one here, And what we're actually going to update is the image, okay? Because every blog wants an image. And then we can just type in image here, scroll to the bottom, and we'll find that it has an image URL. And the file name we can just leave blank for now, and we don't need to update anything else. Boom. So there we have one flow. Now, what if it doesn't have an image? Okay, so this is if the image URL here exists. Okay, run this one. But if it doesn't have an image, we want to create the image, okay? We want to make sure that the image that we have is going to be created, okay? So we want to then have a potential for building a DALL-E image, as an example, a generative image. Sometimes you might not want to do this if you have or your clients have a creative team. Generative image might not be for you, or you might want to update from another source. That is another automation. But today, just to keep it simple and to show you how powerful generative content is, we're going to create a DALL-E prompt to create a image. So I'm just going to want to create this. I'll actually use mini here. It might be actually useful in this context. And then we can say user, and then we can also say based on this name. So based on the blog title, based on the following sentence, please create a DALL-E 3 prompt. Sometimes I'm really nice to ChatGPT and I say please and thank you. So let's just stick that low tokens. And then instead of warehousing that, which I have done in the past, I might want to compose a string, and it's just a place that we can hold that prompt for the time being, because sometimes it doesn't like to go directly into DALL-E 3. And this is just a little workaround that we can create. Sorry, this is the wrong blog, pardon me. Let's go again, DALL-E. We want to create the image. So generate an image, fantastic. And then the model, it's 3, it's the best one, text, and then we can edit as we see according. So we might want to create as a file, or we might want to create as a URL. Either or is totally fine. I think in this case, I'm going to leave it as a URL. I might have to change that in the future. So again, we want to update a record here. And the record that we would want to update is in here. And then we would want to update our content database. And the record ID we can just take from this one. And then from there, we want to update the image. And the image can be from here. So is this going to give us the URL? Yes, it is. And then it will download that image. The content link we can actually add. We could also actually create that as data and download it to a drive. I'm not going to do that. That's something that if you want to do, you can do. It's not necessary, but it is useful to do. And then the blog, we've got the blog. This is the type, this is the source, and there we go. Okay, so now we've created a sequence that is, if we have a link, create this blog. If we have an image, go here and take the image that's been uploaded. If we don't have an image, create an image and update the content database. Now, because I don't want to play around in the automations too much in Airtable, I'm actually going to be a bit cheeky, and I'll create a record for this inside the blog outputs column as well. And I think it's easier to do it this way and faster and just equally as robust. So it's not really a problem. So we've got the blog output here, and we want to make sure that everything we've got in here is aligned. So we've got that. We've got the content, which I believe is actually the copy. In this case, the author, you might want to add yourself. The publishing date is super simple. We could actually take that from the previous Airtable or scroll down, so it doesn't really matter. I think We haven't run this. Oh no, we could take it from here. There you go. And then the status we're going to set as a draft. The cover image we can then take from the Airtable as well. So we've got the image URL, and therefore we know that everything that we add is going to be the same. Now, the content link, I'm actually going to jump back a moment and add the content link from here. Sorry, is that added? Yeah, it has. So that means that they can edit this blog in there. And the company, again, it's entirely up to you whether you want to add it. It's not important at this moment in time, but what is important is the publishing date. So we've got the publishing date, and there we go. And what we can then do is just actually be a bit cheeky, and we can clone it. Okay, so we just edit this last one here. We take, again, it's not going to be too difficult. This one here from the earlier one, the content we can also take from the earlier one. The publishing date is also from this earlier one. Status is the draft. The image URL, it comes from the previous module in front of it. And then we are good to go. The publishing date is going to be easy to find. Okay, goody. Now, usually I'd download these images to the Google Drive, but just to keep things simple today, I'm not going to do that. So bear that in mind. We can choose where to start. Let's choose manually and see if it's pulling through. It is. And we know that we've got a product link in there, so it should run. So let's just give that a quick run and see what happens. Now that has run, let's just check the output to see how it works. And you never know, there's some things that we might need to change. But as we can see here in the content database, that looks good. We have the image. Wow. That is a super cool image. I like the Ethereum and the Bitcoin references there. And then we can check in the blog outputs, and yeah, we can see we've got the same content in the blog outputs. And if we wanted to edit this, we would just click into the Google Doc, and we can edit this in the Google Doc here. You can see here at the moment we're in a format. This is not HTML, which is actually the code that Google Docs are written in. So we could clean that up maybe. But for the sake of this today, I'm not going to do that. We're just here to show you how the system works. Now we know that our system is working, there is a bit of housekeeping that we can do. So we can just jump back into our scenario here. And let's say that we wanted to make sure that we're storing all those images properly. We'd want to then upload it into our Google Drive. So we can just stick this Google Drive in here, and we can then select the file, and then we want to enter the folder ID. We're going to enter it from a list, and the list that we are going to use is actually within the Startup AI content machine for our clients. And our client today is Bitaza, and we're looking at an image, and then the image has come from where? It has come from the custom form. So this is the custom form image that we've created. And again, what we could also do is upload this separately as a new piece of content into our blog. Why did that not work? That should definitely work. Have we got another layer on top of this? No. Okay, brilliant. See, now we can save that, and we know, and then later on we could do it again here. But just to keep this moving for this video, now I have the sequence for creating the here. What if there's not a product link? Well, let me quickly show you a very, very quick solution on how to resolve that. So instead of perhaps using the product link for this item, maybe we just don't need it. Maybe we can just delete these modules here, and then it will work on its own effectively. Okay, Yeah, we're going to have to give it a little bit of a tweak. Some things are missing. Okay, brilliant. So let's just find out. Okay, well, we've deleted that. We don't need it, and we don't need the list of links to be inserted. Okay, boom. There we go. Now we have a flow that is designed to work in 4 different ways. So just to skip back into the form so that we can clearly understand what it is that we're doing. If people don't fill in this hero link, it will work. If people don't fill in this image asset, it will work. If they do, it puts something in the image asset, but not in here, it will run. So it will just decide the sequence based upon these flows that we have put in there. So there we go. That's how we create a blog from a custom form and create that flexibility for our client to either have a product or no product, or an image or no image. And now we've got a much more flexible machine than just simply building one string. But what happens next is we want to be able to publish it. Now, this is the publisher. You can actually see here that it's failed. And that's because I have the wrong webhook in the actual machine, because this has been duplicated from my Stop.AI content machine. So what we need to do is to create this sequence. So what we'll do there is we'll just create a new sequence here, and we'll start to build this, but in the context of our new client, which is Bitaza, okay? The first thing that we want to do here is to create a webhook. So we create this webhook here, and we're going to just name the scenario, actually, pardon me. Let's name the scenario first. Bitaza blogger. So we need to create a webhook, and the webhook is here. And we want a custom webhook. And the custom webhook, we're going to just create. Let's just create a custom one here. And then we can call this one Bitaza hook. Okay, and then we've got this URL. So you can see this URL in here. We need to copy that to the clipboard. Now, there's a few different ways that we can do this, but I think the most simplistic and easy way to do this is where it says webhook here, we want to create this, edit this field. We want to just add this as a default value here. So now it's going to then submit this as a default value every time a new line is created. But where this gets a little bit trickier, but again, there's no problem, we're pros over here, we need to be able to create an automation to make this auto-publish. Okay, so how do we do it? There's different ways to do this, but the way that I've got it laid out here, so if you just want to copy this flow, and we'll quickly talk through it, is that at a scheduled time, so today is 5:15, we're going to find a record, which will be when the publishing date is exactly today. Okay, yeah, so today. So it will run this script when the publishing date matches the publishing date, okay, which means that when that happens, it will publish our blog at this time. So then after we've got that condition and we want to update this record after the publishing date is today, and then we've got update the record. Now the record was set to draft, and we now want to make sure that we can set this to published. And then finally, we're going to run this script at the bottom. So I'm just going to have it hover here for a moment so you can effectively copy and paste and just type out this script here if you need to use it. So what this script is going to do is if we just jump back into our webhook and we run it here, you can see I've actually tested this before. We run this webhook, and if we press test, it's going to extract the information from this record ID to this webhook and send the blog ID, which is the row that we're interested in, to the webhook to pass the information through at the scheduled time. So we're going to pass through all the information in the record. And what that's going to enable us to do is continue to build this flow so that when the data arrives, we can just find that record. So we can search for the record or get a record in this case. And then we can enter in our ID for the base that we're working with. So this would be the blog outputs because we want to send the blog to the WordPress or to the blogging system that we're using. And there's different ways to do this, but again, I like to use an aggregator in this case, just to make sure that if I want to change the flow, then I don't need to update any of the modules. I can add it in here and add in the kind of information that I need. But you can see here, all the information has been passed through. So I'm just going to select all to make it easy. Get the record from the webhook. Now, actually, I'm going to also potentially set this as to the webhook. And the reason for that is at the moment, when we click into it, you can see it's only going to withdraw one article. But what if I have two scheduled on the same day? So we want to be able to pass through that information. It's particularly important, such as if we had social media and we were running 5 channels and we wanted to post all of that content out at the same time, then we don't want it to run once. We want it to continuously gather and get that information and send it and pass it down the flow here to the social media channels. Now, I am using a Shopify in my example, but this could be done with a WordPress. It really depends on what your aim is and what you want to do. To illustrate this point today, I am going to do it on WordPress just because that's the one that actually most of the people that watch this channel are interested in. So we could create a post here, and I'll just send it to the Fizzy site for now, just to keep things simple. This could be, this is a post, the excerpt. We don't actually have an excerpt, I don't believe, so we can create one now. So just to do that quickly, we can create a ChatGPT module, put it in here, and we can say, create a short summary based on this input. And then we just put maybe the title, or we just put the content into the document. So just put the content in, and there we go. Just press 0, keep it simple today. And voila, there we go. So that would now send this to WordPress. Of course, we've still got things to do, such as add the image or the slug. We can do that, but today I'm just going to leave it there so we mostly understand how this is done. And then we can press test, just jump back in here, and we'll see in a moment that the webhook will be called and it will pass that information through and post it straight onto our WordPress site. Boom. So that's how we complete the call action to get the information from our database and publish it straight onto the blogging platform of our choosing. Okay, so now we've done the webhook, we're into the final part of the video. So I'd just like to jump back into the interface and show you a few neat things that you can do. So you can see here, since we last visited the interface, I've included a few more sections. One of those is social media, which is a topic that we'll touch on in the next video, where we will create a fully automated social media system that can not only generate content, but also distribute it across all of the channels that you have. Now we're back in the interface, there's a few things I'd like to show you. So we can just click here and we can add a new interface, such as we wanted to add social media content, or we can add different views. So today we're talking about blogs. You can see here that I've added Kanban and gallery as well as timeline features. The gallery feature looks a bit like this here. And you can see that the client would be able to view this content in various ways, such as what's published and what's not published, and then as well be able to view that on a timeline. So to do that, you can just click here, add page, and you've got a whole host of different views that you can choose from to make it easy for the client to understand the content that is inside your content marketing system. What I've also done is enabled this drag and drop feature here. So you can see if I didn't want this content to be here, I can simply just drag and drop this content at different places in the timeline. Now, the way that I've done that is I've come to the user actions. You simply want to click and just turn on these features down here, which is delete records as well as edit records. And that will give the users the flexibility to not only be able to click in and delete records if they see fit, but also to drag and drop and move the content around. So that's how we can start to build this content management system that can run content at scale. Of course, you can get very creative with it. You can add all these different features. Maybe you want translation features. Maybe you want content transformational features, which is a topic that we'll cover in the future about how we can design the content system to be able to be tailored towards the customer or the client's or even your own business's needs. So that was part one of a series of content that I'm going to be making to show you how we can develop a content marketing system and produce it so that you can always add new features into your own businesses or sell these features to clients. Stay tuned because coming up, I'm going to show you how to do blogging on autopilot, social media systems, transforming one type of content to another type of content, and how we can link that all together. So if you haven't already, please hit subscribe and follow the channel. I can't wait to show you these new videos. They'll be coming very shortly. And as always, have a great day and I'll see you in the next video.